Missiles are crossing sovereign borders in the Middle East. Major cities are on high alert, and military strikes are hitting targets that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. The panic is being accelerated by very specific psychological triggers on the ground. Whispers surrounding the succession and even rumored death of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, have put the entire region on edge. Millions view this crisis through the lens of Akhir al-Zaman, the Islamic end times. Texts written 1400 years ago are actively being used right now to decode military strikes and economic sanctions, plus the shifting of global alliances. To understand where the Middle East is heading, analyzing treaties and borders is insufficient. We have to read the eschatological blueprint guiding the actors on the ground. A prominent hadith, a recorded saying of the Prophet Muhammad, predicts that the Euphrates River will eventually uncover a mountain of gold. The text carries a severe apocalyptic warning. A massive war will break out over this gold, and 99 out of every 100 people who fight for it will be killed. Modern Islamic scholars offer a highly specific economic interpretation for this. The river hides an ocean of oil, and the mountain of gold represents the immense, localized wealth generated from extracting it. That wealth is controlled by a very specific mechanism, the U.S. petrodollar system. This financial structure was born when Saudi Arabia agreed to price and sell its oil exclusively in U.S. dollars, cementing American economic dominance. Now, the BRICS coalition, an economic bloc led by nations like China and Russia, is actively challenging that system. They are currently offering to buy Saudi oil with alternative currencies, like the Chinese yuan. For believers, mapping these prophecies, threatening the petrodollar signals the countdown to the Great War over the Mountain of Gold has officially started. Another major prophecy details an army carrying black flags rising from Khorasan, a historical region that includes modern-day Iran. The text states they will unleash a massive, destructive fire. Analysts point to the specific Arabic vocabulary used in these ancient texts. The weapon creating this fire is referred to with a word rooted in sarukh. In modern Arabic, sarukh translates directly to missile. The historical texts describe these weapons as arrows as tall as mountains, with fire burning inside their hearts. Look at the immense scale and internal propulsion system of a modern intercontinental ballistic missile, or ICBM. The aftermath described in the prophecy is total ecological collapse. The texts warn of poisoned water, ruined air, and victims instantly turn to ash. Scholars reading this today see a precise description of nuclear weapons and ballistic trajectories. The ancient imagery of fire and ash perfectly mirrors the grim and terrifying reality of a modern nuclear exchange. By applying these ancient warnings to weapons of mass destruction, military standoffs in the Middle East elevate from regional disputes to anticipated extinction-level events. Islamic eschatology also warns of a figure known as the Dajjal, a false messiah. Unlike a conventional general, his influence relies on absolute deception rather than traditional military might. The texts describe him performing false miracles and creating global confusion. Today, researchers draw direct parallels between these descriptions and the rapid rise of artificial intelligence, deepfakes, and modern information warfare. The prophecy details his strategy of restricting food and vital resources to force human submission. This maps cleanly onto the modern geopolitical tactic of crippling economic blockades and international sanctions. Standing against him is Imam Mahdi, the prophesied righteous leader. His role is to unite believers, pierce through the global deception, and restore justice. This eschatological framing strips away the nuances of Western and Middle Eastern geopolitics. It reduces the struggle to a rigid, cosmic binary of absolute evil versus absolute justice, destined to culminate in a final confrontation near Jerusalem. You might be wondering if any of these ancient prophecies are objectively true. Does it actually matter? Yes, it matters completely. When millions of people, including top military and political leaders, believe the end times are occurring, that psychology dictates how entire nations behave today. In standard geopolitical warfare, nations fight over borders, negotiate for resources, and eventually sign treaties. Eschatological warfare has no exit strategy. When a military conflict is viewed as a divine mandate to defeat absolute evil, diplomatic compromise becomes a theological sin. Surrender is literally damning. The fusion of apocalyptic belief with nuclear capabilities makes standard diplomacy irrelevant. These factions are fighting to bring about the end of history.